My wife Lisa, who is 36, our two kids, Emil and Stella, aged 10 and 8 respectively, and I, Lucas Fren, aged 37, were your typical Scandinavian family living in a small town. This meant we had the usual setup: a house, a Volvo F70, and a dog. Lisa and I met at a party, fell for each other, got married 12 years ago, and even now she still looks good, although she blends in among her middle-class friends. Our relationship was like many others, ups and downs, but no major issues, whether financially or intimately. I never suspected Lisa of hiding anything from me, and I never had intentions of going behind her back either. Nobody really knows if truly perfect families exist, but if they do, ours probably came close. We weren't secluded from reality, though, and saw relationship issues among friends and acquaintances. The worst was when a neighbor's wife was found in bed with her married boss, who, it turned out, was my wife's cousin. This neighbor, Anton Eisen, has been my best friend since forever, and his wife Emma was close friends with Lisa, so we had a front row seat to the chaos of their divorces. My own problems, however, started in a completely unplanned and harmless way. Lisa works one Saturday every month, which she makes up for with a free afternoon every Wednesday, an arrangement she loves because it gives her time to run errands while the kids are in school. That Wednesday, I realized I had forgotten to ask her to handle something for me, so I tried calling our home phone after lunch, but no one picked up. Thinking she wasn't home, I tried her cell, which also went unanswered, leaving me a bit puzzled. We had recently bought new advanced smartphones, identical ones in fact, with Lisa's main interest being the high-end camera she used to share photos with friends and family. Most of the other features, and the few optional apps, didn't really interest her. Since I liked exploring the phone's functions, I figured it was a good time to try out an app called Latitude, which showed where Lisa's phone was located on a satellite map. Expecting to see her at a mall or shopping center, I was surprised when it showed her phone at a house outside town. An hour later, she was still there, but on my third check, her phone showed her at a supermarket where we usually shop. Later, when I asked why she hadn't returned my call, she checked her phone, looked at the missed calls, and replied, "Strange, because I was at the mall with Lena Nordon most of the time, looking for a new skirt." I asked if she found one, and she answered, "No, maybe next time." "Are you thinking I'll be spending the weekend in fancy stores?" She laughed, and I just said it could wait until next Wednesday. But I knew that Lisa had lied to me, which was a huge red flag. The next day after work, I drove by the location where she'd been. It was a road not far from town, with a forest on one side and houses spaced out on the other. The houses were far enough apart to be sure of the right address. It didn't take long to find out that a teacher named Tommy Orm lived there. My further online search revealed he was 35, recently divorced with no kids, just 3 months ago. He didn't work at our children's school, so it seemed unlikely that school matters brought Lisa to his house. Her reasons for meeting this Tommy Orm had to be personal and were something she chose not to tell me about. Since I had no real proof that Lisa was involved in something inappropriate, I couldn't outright confront her about lying without first gathering more information. So, the next Wednesday, when her phone location showed she was at Orm's house again, I was more prepared. I managed to excuse myself from work for a couple of hours and pretended to be bird watching in the woods opposite Orm's house. Hidden in the thick shrubs, I observed his house through binoculars. Though I knew Lisa's phone was there, I didn't see her car, only his silver Audi. I called Lisa and casually asked if she was at the mall that day. She confirmed, saying, "Yes, I'm at the fashion store, why do you ask?" I mentioned I'd hurt my back and asked if she could pick up some tiger balm from the drugstore. She quickly agreed, but her cheerful response only fueled my doubts about her honesty. After a while, I saw Orm leave the house, kiss her briefly in the car, and drive off, confirming the worst. I returned to work to calm down before heading home, where I asked Lisa if she could massage my back with the balm she'd picked up. Although my back wasn't actually a problem, it served as a convenient excuse to avoid intimacy with her. Now, it was time to start figuring out a plan to end this charade. After considering it for a while, the solution seemed obvious: I would handle it alone, though if Anton Larsson was willing to help, that would be even better. When I informed Anton of my situation, he shook his head a few times and remarked, "I never thought Lisa would do to you what Emma did to me. She must be out of her mind to mess up a good marriage like yours." He suggested what I should do and even offered to provide what I'd need to carry it out. I accepted his offer. Who could say what Lisa's intentions were with Tommy Orme? Perhaps it was just a brief fling, or maybe she was in love with him, waiting for the right moment to leave me. For me, it didn't make a difference. She'd already done more than enough damage to our marriage for me to preserve my dignity. When I declined her advances for intimacy on both Friday and Saturday nights due to my sore back, she seemed puzzled, but I reassured her, promising to see a doctor if it hadn't improved by Wednesday, which seemed to ease her concerns somewhat. Wednesday turned out to be an eventful day. My friend Anton and I had managed to get away from work after lunch, and we were now sitting in his brother's car parked a little way off the main road near Tommy Orme's house. Our eyes were on my smartphone screen, watching as Lisa's phone, which had been at the mall for almost an hour, was now moving towards the main parking lot. Then it began heading in our direction. "That damned ___ is going to do it again," I muttered, and Anton gave a silent nod. We figured Lisa had probably eaten lunch at one of the mall's restaurants, and now it seemed Tommy Orme had picked her up for another romantic rendezvous. After waiting a little over 15 minutes, we parked in the driveway and approached the door, which was locked. We rang the bell, but nothing happened, so we rang it again. This time, a male voice yelled, "Who are you? What do you want?" Anton replied loudly, "The electric company. We need to check your meter, it'll only take a minute." After a short pause, the door was opened by a man wearing a black velvet robe. That was our cue. Anton swiftly kicked him in the solar plexus, knocking him to the floor and pinning him down. I hurried past them into the house, clutching a 5-liter plastic container in my right hand as I searched for the bedroom, which I found shortly after. What I saw there confirmed the end of my marriage. Lisa, naked, was trying to cover herself under a sheet. Without a word, I unscrewed the lid of my container and poured the repulsive mixture of pig___ and pig urine over the pile of clothing on the chair. Lisa, now screaming and still naked, bolted for the bathroom, locking herself inside. I then dumped some of the foul mixture onto the bed, which looked outrageously expensive, then poured more on the carpet and in the closet before leaving the room. At the front door, Anton still had the man pinned to the ground. When he saw me, he stood up and yelled at the guy, "Try to move, and I'll crush your balls." Tommy Orme didn't dare move, and Anton unzipped his robe so I could pour the rest of the revolting pig___ and piss about 1.5 liters over my ex-wife's lover, still naked. Before we left, Anton warned Orme that if either he or Lisa went to the police, they'd be in trouble with the local vigilance committee. This committee was well known in the area after a drunk driver had been found chained to a lamppost outside the old police station one early Sunday morning. It took a police patrol from the county capital a while to arrive, and, unfamiliar with anyone in town, they took even longer to locate a locksmith to remove the chains. The story was covered extensively in our local newspaper and even got a mention in national tabloids. Tommy understood the consequences and knew better than to challenge the committee's authority. Lisa didn't show up at home until Saturday morning, bringing her parents with her. She signed the divorce papers without protest, then packed up her clothes and personal belongings. To my relief, she didn't attempt any ridiculous justifications like, "It's not what you think," or, "I'm sorry, it was a big mistake." We even came to an agreement about our children and our bank accounts, and just like that, our once happy marriage of 12 years was over. Epilogue. It's been 9 weeks since I wrote down this story about discovering Lisa naked in Tommy Orme's bed, and our divorce will be final in about 4 months. My life remains in turmoil, and I'm sure it will take a long time before things return to normal. Lisa is now staying with her parents, while Orme has returned to his house after spending time in a rented trailer on the front lawn while repairs were made after my pig___ and piss attack. Their love story barely lasted 3 weeks once Lisa moved out. She never actually moved into his house or trailer, only spending occasional nights with him. These visits grew fewer and fewer as time went on. Cheating can seem thrilling and romantic, but a real relationship with a lover doesn't necessarily lead to happiness, something my soon-to-be ex-wife learned all too well. Rumor has it from her friends that Lisa and Tommy started their affair 2 years ago when she and 3 friends spent a long weekend in Barcelona. When he later got a job in our town and bought a house after his wife left him, they happened to meet again. Her friends even said that leaving me was never part of Lisa's plan. She saw Tommy as nothing more than a once-in-a-lifetime romantic fling and intended to end things with him a week before I stepped in, but he talked her into meeting one last time. Now, she regrets it deeply. But what she didn't realize was that, by then, it was already too late to save our marriage. Today, however, there's one thing she surely knows for certain: cheating stinks to high heaven.